I'm loving this new music. Welcome, welcome, as Jilly likes to say. Hey, everybody, you are on Stone Fruit Roll-Up. We are here every Thursday live on YouTube and LinkedIn. This is the show you're watching about building the show you're currently watching. We are here, like I said, every Thursday, delving into lots of different topics that are around creating a show. As I threw myself into the deep end of the pool just nary a few months ago, and now we are practicing with a plum every week to get better at creating a live show. And today is no exception. If you've been here for a while, or even in the beginning, you saw us struggle with what is our platform? What are we going to go with? Are we going to do things on Zoom? Are we going to use some other fancier platforms? I barely remember what they were anymore. If you want to revisit the Paul King episode about video podcasting, that's a great place to look for available software options. But we jumped straight in feet first with Streamyard, and here we are. So it's just me, a humble copywriter, managing my way around Streamyard, and I would like to get a lot better at creating a show that is infinitely watchable. So I put up the bat signal for my very good friends, Ross Brand and Rob Greenlee, with whom I have the pleasure of being on a live panel show every Thursday after this show, Stream Leader Report, and ask them to come and please help me get better with Streamyard. And by proxy, anybody out there in YouTube land who is joining us today, either in the comments, hi Jilly, all the way from London, or watching us on the replay. So without any further ado, today we're getting into some Streamyard savvy. I want to learn how to do more than just click go live and look at the camera, and maybe manage a little bit of the comments and have a more polished presentation, something infinitely more watchable. So without further ado, I'll sadly announce that Ross can't be here today, as he came down quite ill over the last couple of days and has kindly asked for a rain check, which we're happy to give him. But our friend Rob Greenlee was absolutely a champion to just go forth and prosper, and me too. So I get the pleasure of having him solo today, which is extra cool because I'm only just getting to know Rob Greenlee. Normally on this show, we've got people that I know very, very well. So this will be a chance to bond with him in a way that will be super special. So without further ado, I'd like to present the founder of the Spoken Life Media, partner, owner, and podcast trainer at podcastez.com, host of The Trust Factor, and Podcast Hall of Famer 2017, Rob Greenlee. Saturn, if you would bring Rob to the studio, please. Welcome, Rob. We're so happy to have you here.
It's great to be here, Rebecca. Thanks for inviting me on your show to talk about Streamyard. I'm excited about the platform too, just like you are, and it's opened up a lot of avenues of creativity and content creation and stuff like that. I'm a longtime podcaster, so I've spent a lot of years on the audio side, but I have spent a lot of time on the video side too. I have a new media show that I do we have been doing that for 12 years live online. So, I've been involved in the live video stuff, and I really love live, and that's what Streamyard really excels at. So it's great to be here. Thanks.
We are super excited to dive into that. I'm so glad you brought up your podcast history, because I definitely want to get into that crossover and what inspired you about live video. I mean, usually people who are kind of like very ensconced in the podcast world are reluctant to turn on the camera and kind of get into this new medium. And sometimes I feel like we've got to fight between the sharks and the jets, between live streaming and old school RSS subscription feeders. So what inspired you to be a crossover artist of the blue ribbon standard we see before us today?
Well, it's interesting. When I started doing this, I started in a radio station. So I really started in the early days of just doing audio. And that was kind of like an eye-opening thing for me. I wasn't involved in creating media at all back in the late 90s. I was really kind of a technologist, and was starting to work with startup technology companies and things like that. So it's really been an evolution for me as the technology has developed, and I've gotten more involved in the digital syndication or the digital distribution of content of all types. And so I've really spent the last 20 years of my life dedicated to understanding and creating content and helping others to create content too, which is really a significant chunk of my time in podcasting, as well as, not so much on the video side, though I've had a YouTube channel for 16 years, if that tells you anything. So it's just one of the things that I haven't really, for most of my career, I haven't really focused on YouTube per se, but I do have a channel up there that's had over 700,000 views. So it's had some historical value, might be the right way to say it. The largest YouTube show or episode or program that I uploaded was published 16 years ago, and it's had about 200,000 views. So I guess time helps. With stuff
I can't even imagine what that feels
right.
like. I think the largest view count I have to date is maybe 45 views all day. That's really about the most I've done so far.
Yeah, I think it's harder to reach those big numbers now than it used to be. Back when I published those episodes that I did 16 years ago, I'm finding that it's more difficult now to get numbers like that now, just because I think there's just so much content out there. But but StreamYard has really opened up the door for me, because it's so easy for me to actually just hop on a live stream like I did with you here with this program.
I know, how great is that?
I know, and
thanks for being a part of it.
Right, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy doing live. I enjoy doing it. I'm not always perfect or great at it, but I'm striving to get better and improve and bring more energy to what I do, and share as much as I can to connect with others around the world. I do calls with people all over the world, and everybody's kind of opening up to this world of getting out there. And I just wonder if someday everybody's going to have a YouTube channel, or everybody's going to want to do something on like a Streamyard type of platform to help support their own careers and help support their own personal development, because this enables us to connect with other people all over the world. I mean, I do shows out of Australia almost every other week, it seems like, and then in Europe and in Asia as well. So everybody's getting involved in this. And I think me partnering, and I just full disclosure here, I'm a partner of Streamyard. So my activities, so like I'm doing, content on their platform as well. So it's just a matter of, their official channels. So I'm going to be doing more stuff with them, but it's a fairly new partnership that I have with them. So I'm excited about it.
Well, you certainly now know why I was itching to get you on the show today to help me with some StreamYard savvy, because there's so much here that you can do. And when I say I'm walking around on my little baby deer legs, that is far from the truth. Why just yesterday, when I've probably been doing this, consistently week after week for a good, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now. And just last week, I couldn't figure out how to mute, YouTube that was playing the same time. And I get really kind of flustered and confused. So I'm really looking forward to you helping me feel more comfortable on the platform. But before we do, you touched upon something that I really wanted to ask you more about, which is I'm really excited about streaming. And now I wonder if everybody's going to be live streaming to help their own careers and advance, their projects, their people, their places, the things that they're working towards. I'd like to know, one, when you first saw the infinite power of live, what was the first time that you ever just were like, oh my God, particularly as coming from a radio and a podcasting background. And then I'd like to know why you think that it is a time well spent for people who are building their careers or promoting something. Two-part question for you.
Yeah, I think it's probably, as most people would back up and think about it, it would be fairly obvious to them. I think increasingly in your career or your job or your company that you're working on, you're probably increasingly using like Zoom calls, and you're doing maybe some interviews on some podcasts or something like that to help build your business, and having those abilities to present effectively on video, and know how to use a microphone and get your home studio set up, which is what I did over the last couple of years, was really double down on that, get studio lights, get all of the key things, get a nice looking background, and get my room kind of sound buffered, things like that, so I can present the best foot forward that I can with the content that I want to produce. And I love live because it gives you a different energy, and it pre-recording kind of can make you a little lazy, and because you're not really under any real pressure, right? So you can start over, you can redo, but if you're live, it's like you have to really concentrate. Yeah, like I used to play college basketball, and for many years, I'm about 6'8", so I played power forward and things.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're 6'8"?
Yeah. So
no shit. Wow.
Most people don't know that because I'm sitting down all the time when I'm doing this.
Yeah. Oh my God. You should have not told me that when we met in person. I would have been like, what?
So
I mean, I'm 5'8", so generally considered tall for a woman, but like, that's amazing.
So I kind of have this attitude that came out of my 13-year basketball career was you kind of have to prepare for the game, right? And you have to get in the zone, and you have to get focused, and you have to bring energy to what you're doing. And, obviously playing competitive basketball, you definitely have to bring the energy, else you're not going to win, right? So that's the attitude to some degree that that was very helpful for me, was to be able to know how to mentally prepare, and then also to come to the game as best as you can. Now, granted, nobody's perfect, and I don't think anyone expects that. That's why we have what's called editing software. is
Not when you're live, though.
Right.
Which is what I like about it, is that it's like one stop. You're done. You don't obsess over the recording. It is what it is, man.
Right. But you can, and that's what these tools are. And there are a lot of tools out there. Like I'm currently using the Descript tool to do any kind of post-production editing of video and audio, but I still spend a lot of time doing live too. And you're correct. I mean, what goes out live, and it lives on replay out there for, I don't know if it's forever or not, but for some period of time. But if you want to put this content out as an on-demand medium from the standpoint of like a podcast or whatever, you can certainly use these tools to, make it a little bit better, take some ums and ahs out, maybe kind of tighten it up. And that can be helpful, right? And that's also what I do. So some of the things that I do here, even though I do it live, I can take the live out of Streamyard and do some editing in it, either on the video, and then I can put it out like up on YouTube. So you could play that game of doing that, and that's one of the trade-offs right now, is that when you do it live, it pretty much lives as it is, right?
But it is infinitely repurposable, that's what I learned from Ross, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Like, do it once and then infinitely repurposable.
Yeah, and I think at some point the technology will accelerate to the point where, even doing it live, it's going to be live edited. So I don't know if that's
interesting.
What, right?
Rob? I can barely manage StreamYard as it is. How dare you?
Well, if you think about
how dare you, sir?
The AI technologies out there, and these new quantum computer platforms that are being rolled out here over the next couple of years or whatever, we're going to have like supercomputer capabilities of being able to manage and manipulate video and audio. And as you think about these platforms that we're using today, they could be set up like a Descript or whatever that can do automatic removal of ums and ahs and things like that. But I'm not saying that because that's currently available to all of us on the live side, but I do think that the capability of this will kind of move in that direction. And whether or
Okay,
not
I'll
that's
just have to
good or
keep
bad
skill
kind of is kind of open to interpretation. I mean, a lot of the AI stuff that we're seeing is good and bad at the same time. So, but
Oh, I really want to get into it with AI with you,
yeah,
and I don't know if we have time for all your thoughts on where this is going. But I think if anybody is interested in AI and how it's impacting technology, culture, and content creation, to please go and check out all of the episodes that Rob has on the trust factor, because you talk about AI a
thank you.
ton on that show, and it's really exciting. My favorite thing is your call for an AI constitution, which I couldn't get more behind. But we'll have to save that for another Stone Fruit Roll-Up, Rob, because we could talk about that for 100 years.
Yeah, I need to
I
really kind of double down on that concept and really kind of build it out, and kind of show it as an example of what could be done out there. And I'm actually going to be starting a new program here, working with a partner out of Silicon Valley, that we're going to focus on AI technology and how that's coming to media. So I'm going to be doing some conversations with some leaders in that area as we kind of pull that apart.
Wow.
That'll be separate from the trust factor thing, but
Yeah, that'll be so cool. I can't
yeah.
wait. And I'd love to support you in any way I can with the AI
Well,
constitution.
thank
I,
you.
I promise not to John Hancock my signature, the biggest on the bottom, but I'm feeling you for sure. You mentioned earlier one thing that you really love about live streaming is getting your head in the game in advance, kind of akin to your basketball career. And that
Yeah.
brings me to a very cool comment or question from Tony Pareco, who's coming in live from Silver Spring, Maryland, who wants to know a little bit about preparedness and helping a guest who is not yet as experienced get kind of trained up for both the content and the production quality. I know I'm hearing like what happens when your guest doesn't understand that they need a quiet room and headphones and a microphone and the dog not barking and the background not blurry, and probably some other things that Tony, who is a podcast producer, struggles with getting kind of like newbies on their own baby deer legs to the microphone. Do you have any advice for him?
Yeah, I mean, it turns out to be a very custom conversation that I have with everyone, because everyone that wants to get into this medium kind of comes at it from a various places, right? From an experience level, what they have as far as their equipment, and what they feel comfortable. Is it live? Is it recorded? Is it audio only? Is it video only? And I think that those put you in a situation when I'm helping a content creator kind of get started or whatever. It takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of questions on my part to help them kind of flesh out what their skills are, where are they at right now in the path towards being a content creator. And that's a big part of the process. And then also just kind of getting focused on what you want to start out with, because what you start out with any podcast or any show that you do is not going to be the same thing that you're going to be doing 10 episodes later. So
I hope not, man.
Right?
I got a lot of room to grow.
Yeah. So those that will start a show and they'll pre-produce 10 episodes at the launch of their show or something like that, maybe doing themselves a little bit of a disservice, because they may find that after they've published 2 or 3 of those 10 episodes that they're not working, and that they don't reach the target audience that they're trying to reach. Or so you kind of have to kind of go with the flow of it a little bit, and just make sure that you've got good quality audio, you've got a good idea and concept. And I do agree with this concept of niching down on what you're doing, but there's some good and bad with niching down. It can be very helpful to grow a niche audience for content, but there is a trade-off with that too. I mean, it can be difficult to keep coming up with new topics over a long period of time. So you kind of have to have a broad, and this can be a difficult thing to kind of get worked out in your mind, but get a niche content that has a broad reach, right? Or a broad scope of topics that can be derivative of a niche, right? And that's kind of nuanced, but it's also,
I know, it sounds like jumbo shrimp.
It does sound like jumbo shrimp, and that's what the kind of the X factor of being a content creator these days is that there's so many, people out there creating content now that you kind of have to stand out from the crowd. You have to do something significantly different and unique. But it's difficult to niche down too far, because what you could find is that you get to episode 20 and it's like, well, I keep talking about the same thing over and over again, but maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. So if you're niching down, you probably have a churn of new listeners or new viewers coming in all the time that haven't heard your older episodes. So it's this balance between trying to get very specific and niche into a topic that you're talking about on the show, and being able to have that reach of scope of spectrum. And it depends on what your passions are too, and what you love to talk about. Like me, it's podcasting and video and content creation is my passion, right? But that can take all sorts of different niche forms. And so that's my pitch is you got to bring kind of some passion to it. You have to bring some willingness to invest, time and some money in getting content that is professional looking and that people feel comfortable. It's not painful to listen to. So, right.
Well, I hope this show isn't painful to listen to.
Oh, I don't think it is.
Rob, to clarify, I think that Tony's question is really about when you are already a seasoned host, and this is really germane to what we're talking about today, and you have guests who are all over the map with their own ability to be a guest, whether it's their technological setup or they're just, comfort with the platform. You really are staring at like this white dot all the time and have no idea if feedback from the audience, or just being nervous about it. You can have somebody who's done it 1,000 times, or someone this is their first time.
Well, and
you have like a checklist that you go through with them in order to get them more comfortable.
I think it really gets back to there's a couple different ways that you can approach this. If I'm really understanding the question is your approach to guests, right? And how you as a host want to be that leader in bringing that guest into the program, and what's the context of the value of the guest, right, to any particular program. And I think that there's some movement in the industry, in the podcasting industry, and also in the video side too, which is, people watch podcasts because of the hosts. Now, granted, there can be a lot of value driven in based on who that guest is, right? What's their network? What's their value? What's their reputation? All those kinds of things are important in that. But I'm a really firm believer in is that if you're the host of the show, you need to be the person that your audience comes back to because they want to hear you. And any guest that you have is additive to you, not a replacement for. Right. But that's something that you have to develop over time with your audience, because at the beginning, if you're not a well-known celebrity or personality yourself that has a reputation with the community, you have to kind of build that over time based on a kind of a reputation and credibility transfer from guests. Right. So you have this. So what you're trying to do fundamentally is build trust with your audience. Right. And build that reputation and build that relationship and that trust factor, which is always a part of this, right? In creating a connection with audiences and this is very nuanced, and this is really fundamental to why being a content creator is not an easy thing, because it's, I created a radio show and did it for 7 years and had a bunch of co-hosts with me on there. And because I didn't feel strong enough as a host at that time. I had never done a radio show before. I didn't come from that kind of a background. I didn't get educated in broadcast or anything like that. I was a marketing guy. I was kind of a sales guy. So that was a skill that I had to develop over many years. And so I had to bring in, co-hosts or guests or whatever. Like I would have as many as 3 guests on my radio show every week. So it was, like expert guests, like a person from Microsoft or a person from Symantec, which is an antivirus company, and to talk about internet technology, which was the topic of my early radio show that I did. So, guests are a component of adding an interesting audio experience, right? Of different voices, different perspectives that can be additive to the primary host. But the hosts need to bring a personality to the program that gets people coming back every week.
Well, that's I'm flustered already.
Complicated question. Yeah.
How do you be a host that has like gravitas and brand and creating this personality that people learn to love and trust, and still give your guest like the platform that you've promised in a way to not talk over them, kind of direct the conversation? Is it about structuring the episode? How do you find that balance?
Yeah, I did structure those conversations quite a bit back in the day, and what I found over time is that that outline was great, right? That to have those topics kind of laid out, but I would say at least 70% of the time, the questions that came up were because I was listening to the guest, right? And I was taking them down. I was trying to create a story experience with them versus kind of like a structured, bulleted question scenario, because sometimes that guest will take you down a path that you didn't foresee, right? And you need to,
and that's the magic of it, actually, right, in my opinion.
Pull the layers of that onion away and expose kind of what the value is. So you have to be always listening and thinking about, well, what's the value this guest is bringing to the show, and how can I dig deeper into this to get more value out of it? And sometimes you can't pre-plan that. That has to come from spontaneous conversation, kind of like what we're doing here is right. That you're kind of, that question was pretty broad, and I'm kind of pulling back the layers of the onion is a good analogy like that. I know some people don't like that analogy because they cry whenever they're around an onion.
Oh man, I love onions, so bring it on.
So it's pulling back and thinking about your guest and what they have to bring, and being a good host too, but also having a contribution to that conversation too as a host, right? So if they say something that you maybe you should challenge, maybe you should ask them to dig a little deeper on that because you don't necessarily agree with that, and to have them justify that particular perspective, right? And that pulls back the onion a little bit further, the layers of the onion for your audience too. So you always need to be thinking about what your audience might be thinking about.
Excellent answer. I struggle sometimes with kind of the advice that I get of having a structured show in which I need to tell the audience at the top of the show what they can expect. And like, okay, well, we'll get to know Rob in the first 15 minutes, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit about live streaming. And then, halfway through the show, we'll turn and take a look at what Streamyard can do. But it does kind of squash my natural curiosity to be able to think that way, because I'm constantly worried about the timestamp and that I'm not going to lose people because they don't know the good stuff is coming. What's the balance there?
Yeah, I think you do have to have kind of like an outline for what you're trying to follow with your show, and stick to it pretty closely. I'm not saying necessarily a script. This is more, though you can have some elements in your outline that are fairly scripted, so they're consistent. So you remember to say certain things during your show that can build your brand. But over time, what you'll find is those things will just become automatic. It's almost like you're an actor, right? Actually not reading the script, but performing the script, right? That's the difference on that.
It is about muscle memory, I think. And your bit, Tony has an earlier episode we'll put in the show notes where one of his pieces of advice was to have a bit. So you're watching the show about the show that we're building right now. That bit there, to remember it, I can't, it's not natural to me to say it, and I'm trying to, and I'm also trying to remind folks, well, you're watching the weekly show on LinkedIn that's here every Thursday at high noon Eastern Standard Time. We're also on YouTube, so join us for this kind of content. I think it is muscle memory, and I'm trying. I'm getting there.
Yeah, and it's
I'm getting there, Rob Greenlee.
Yeah, it's hard to do it with live shows as well, and just like what we're doing here. That this is impromptu discussion. Sure, we had a broad topic, Streamyard, but Streamyard is a platform. It's a tool to create content, and what the most important thing really is what the content is. Not so much the tool, but the tool can enable you to do things. And this is what StreamYard excels at, is being able to connect with the audience. And you're seeing it right on the screen right now, is that when you're live, you can connect with people that are watching and they can contribute questions. And what you're doing is you're creating an interactive conversation with your audience. And that's powerful, So, trying to answer some of the questions sometimes can be on the fly without doing any further thought about it, can be a challenge, though. So that's where your expertise really comes into play here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's where framing the expert is what's important. Tony wants us to remember in the comments that canned intros are helpful and that they kind of are creating a runway for which you can take off, which I agree. I need to get way better at the opening thing. But in addition to that, I've seen some other people do something that is very StreamYard tech savvy, Rob, and this is part of the thing I want to learn. Like Renee Hastings' show, Renee Speaks, has a beautiful video entry. Even the Stream Leader Report Live has a beautiful video montage where you're watching the Stream Leader report. So I feel like there's a blended approach with media that can help buttress just the kind of stark onboarding experience of the show. Like when I start the show right now, it's kind of like Saturn hits live and I'm just like, welcome everybody, you're watching the thing, and there isn't much of a branded experience. Do you think that that's cheesy or a smart way to go?
I'm a little bit on the fence about the kind of video intro concept right now. I know I recently shifted my show, my Trust Factor show, over to doing kind of what's called a cold open and to just kind of launch with just me. And then I'm basically giving what the hot points are of the episode that's coming up. And then I'll play a quick little branding video about the show and have some music in there, with Jody and things like that, with the voiceover, and then come right back and get into the content of the show. So, I think if you look at some of these platforms, increasingly, I think putting anything at the very beginning of your show that isn't content, maybe giving your audience an opportunity to skip, right, or go to some other content.
Interesting.
Right? So people.
What about a cover card in the sorry to talk over you? I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean,
what about a cover card with a graphic for the first 10 seconds or something, instead of just from black screen to
yeah.
Hey, everybody.
There's something to be said for that, though, because if you look at, even with the podcast, with the audio stuff, I'm increasingly doing a little teaser for what's coming up right out of the gate. And then I play a little music bed or those kind of things. And then I come back and start doing the show. So the reason for the music, and it needs to be relatively short. I'm only doing about 10 seconds or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then if that music bed can have, like a little voiceover, kind of like what we did with the 100 TV, with the shows on there with Jody, who's a voiceover pro, who actually was contributing some voiceover that we could lay over the top of a video or something like that. And that's how I used it. And I think that can be a powerful little branding tease. It gets another voice into the program. And that's one thing, I've been doing a lot of solo shows with the Trust Factor on StreamYard. And I was never really a solo content creator before. So this was really something new for me. And it was something that really challenged me from the standpoint of doing everything. Right. And I have had a guest on one of my episodes, but really my roots are these type of programs like you're doing here with me, is the conversational programs is what I have experience with, doing hundreds of conversations on the radio and then also in video. So that's my strong suit, and that's where I feel most comfortable, is in that area. So,
Well, you've
but
been at
it's
this for a
built on
long
you.
time. You've got a seasoned career. You
20
didn't have to
years. We've been doing
change.
this for
Why?
20 years.
Yeah, why jump into something that's a whole new, that's completely out of your comfort zone? Why did you what were the challenges and why did you choose to do it?
Well, it was really because it was a weak spot that I had that I didn't feel confident in being able to do. And I think that it's really important to develop that solo hosting skill set, mentality, being able to do that. Because I do have the guesting part down. I've done probably 300 or 400 podcast conversations like this over the last
Thank you.
few years. And so it's been something that I've had lots of time to work at and get comfortable with. It's the solo stuff is what I just haven't focused on. So it was one of those areas that I needed to shore up my skills at. And that's what Trust Factor has been for me. Because each episode that I do of that show on Streamyard is a little different because I'm playing with different capabilities. I'm adding overlays and I'm adding, screenshots. I'm adding, screen shares and things like that to add a little bit of more visual candy to.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's total
what a
visual
segue.
Candy. Right. It's like the Stone Fruit Roll-Up. That's such a cool name. I like that name because I've eaten those fruit roll-ups before.
That's right. Tony came up with that name.
Right, and it
was here in the comments.
It's very tasty. So hopefully that's what this program is for you that's watching this. Is it's like a tasty fruit roll-up.
I hope it is as well. Juicy. I do want to acknowledge Jilly in the comments who started her podcast and was able to just right out the gate be solo show savvy. Like she has just such a gift for it. I just want to acknowledge that your validation that is a skill that needs to be developed even for the most talented among us. And just want to give Jilly a little shout out here since she's taken some time to be with us today to say that is something that she has excelled at from the beginning, and I really admire her. So if you ever want to listen to someone who just has a beautiful sense of a solo show and that monologuing, please check out the Heads Together podcast with Jill Monks.
Some people really have just a natural talent for this. It's the talent of gab and the talent of personal connection. And those are, and oftentimes increasingly that's what's really driving audience growth. But what I'm seeing is women are really excelling at this.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's a personality aspect. It's the ability to communicate. It's the focus on connecting at an emotional level, which this medium, at least podcasting anyway, really does a terrific job. And that's really core to why it's grown, is because of it's so different from mainstream media now. And I think, podcasting and what we're doing here with video is basically putting mainstream media out of business. And it will continue to do that. Eventually we may not even have mainstream media anymore.
Since the mainstream media is treating creators so poorly,
guess what? They feel threatened by it. And you're seeing examples of it all over the place, that this independent creator economy now, and it's even, a lot of those professionals that were on mainstream media are moving over to online content creation and independent creator status, and they're finding tremendous success. And it's because those folks had developed those muscles, right, on being on broadcast radio that can work here. But not everybody that comes out of mainstream media is a success at this. They have to think differently. They can't just be reading off of scripts all the time. Ideally, some of them can pull it off because they have reputation or personality and connections and things like that are very helpful in growing an audience. But at the end of the day, this is about the skills of natural human communication, right?
I would say, though, Jilly, since we're using her example, the thing that's so remarkable to me is she also remembers calls to action, and she also remembers reframing her expertise, and she also remembers encouraging people to join her on other media platforms, which I never remember. I'm so immersed in the conversation and also distracted by managing the technology. I never remember to like point people to other shows or give a call to action, or I feel like there's so many balls in the air that I have to remember, and that's one of the ones I drop all the time. And
Well, that's why it's
talent.
kind of it can be helpful to have an outline. And I know when I was doing my radio show, my live radio show in the studio, I had like a multi-page outline that I would, it wasn't a visual thing, so I could have these papers in front of me when I'm on microphone, but I can't do that with this. So you have to.
I know. Even me
right?
reading your introduction, you see me like founder of spoken word. Like, it's obvious that I haven't memorized your resume before you get to the show, which I have to say Tony's very good at. People's doing tons of research in advance on the guest and knowing just what to say naturally. There are a lot of skills. There are a lot of skills here, Rob Greenlee, for sure. So, without further ado, since we only have about 20 minutes left on this conversation, friendly reminder, this is the Stone Fruit Roll-Up, your weekly show that happens here on LinkedIn and YouTube every Thursday at high noon. And today we are speaking with my esteemed guest and maybe new best friend, podcast Hall of Famer Rob Greenlee, who's now going to show us what to do with Streamyard. Wow. What to do with Streamyard in a way that blows the lid off of other platforms, particularly because you know it so well. You are a Streamyard partner, so thank you for loaning me a little bit of your expertise. So, Rob, what can we do here? What makes a really good show using Stream? Like, how does Streamyard make a good show happen? Earlier, you mentioned kind of a cold open and then a small, video montage with a voiceover and a little bit of music. We also talked about more show and tell, which is a note I get a lot, more show and tell. Mm-hmm. So give us a little walkthrough here. Give us the anatomy of Streamyard. And if you want to share your screen, you're welcome to show us a little bit about how Streamyard works.
Yeah, I haven't done this kind of sharing a screen of Streamyard while we're doing it, but I can certainly.
I don't know either, but the show is wildly experimental. We're trying everything. So if you want to try it, this is the place to do it.
Okay, I can.
If you want to, if that's awkward for you, I've kind of just walked you into the field without any warning.
Okay, I can show you my account here in Streamyard if you want to pull it up here.
Yeah. We're adding.
So this is Streamyard, and this is basically the videos page. So these are recorded episodes that I did on the platform. They could have been live, or they could have been just a recorded show that I did and then exported and out of here. But
I think that's an important distinction for people who are trying to wrap their head around why Streamyard. I do live stuff here, and then I also do recorded videos that are not live that then get made into Business in the Raw or to a YouTube short or to whatever. So I'm using it for both of those applications for anybody who does not know that.
Yeah, so I can't show you. I don't think I can open up a live screen of what we're doing right now. I think it would cause a conflict in the system, but I can show you in this other window what it looks like to. So let's say you've done your live show, right? And it's recorded, and also has local recordings too. So you can record your guest and you.
Why would anyone want to do that?
For audio quality reasons.
Yeah.
So let's say you're using like a Hindenburg software or whatever, and you want to create a multi-track kind of like segmented experience, and want to be able to play with when things start, when things stop, and things like that on the audio side. You can get those audio files out of the platform. But if you want to just do some quick editing of the software or of the video, so after you've recorded, and let's say you you want to eventually export it to be able to publish it. So typically this is done with just a recorded show. So you click this video 16:9 to edit, right? And what it will do is it'll pull up your video, and you can use this little timeline tool down here and do some editing of the video itself.
Versus bringing the whole thing into Descript.
Yeah. So this tool is really designed to do just kind of basic editing of, like trimming the ends, and if you want to cut up some pieces in the middle of the timeline, like down here, you can actually do that. So I can like click play here, and you can see it, and it'll play across the bottom. I know.
Welcome to the new media show. We're back.
Doing the new
I
media
don't know
show
if you can hear that or not.
I can, yeah, we sure can.
Yep. You do it live.
Absolutely.
Live right now.
Scroll across,
We're going live.
so I can fast forward through it here and do a cut
about a year ago.
in there. So it has that ability. Plus, it also has the ability to generate more of a vertical video experience too. So you can create just your basic kind of output and snippet out a part of it that you can publish into like Reels or YouTube on their shorts, right? And then once you pull it into those apps on those platforms, you can add the kind of like the graphics and the animations and things like that to this particular video, so you can push it out as a clip of your program. So that's built into the platform too. So that's helpful to be able to take what you're doing with your video podcast and be able to promote it on these other platforms. So
I heard Ross say on Renee Speaks last week that the actual program only has so much gravitas, but you're really getting the eyeballs from the snippets and the polls. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think that there's other tools that can be used too, AI tools that can help suggest areas in the content, and then
oh, that's
flag
interesting.
those, right? And generate those based on AI technology and things like that. So those are typically third-party platforms, but at least you can get the vertical video out of this platform, out of Streamyard, and be able to work with it on these other platforms. So that's the other power of this too. And really, I think where we're at right now is no one platform really has all of the cutting edge tools, because there's always these new companies that are starting up that are bringing new ideas to the market. And so that's kind of a post-production type of a scenario here that StreamYard offers. But if we want to, I'm going to discard that. And then I don't know if you can pull up the shared screen again. I want to share another part. So one of the big parts of StreamYard is its ability to stream out to different destinations, right? So you have...
Oh, I definitely want to know this, because I feel like I'm doing my guests a disservice by not facilitating this to be able to stream on their own platforms. So thank you for bringing this up.
And if you're a guest on a show on StreamYard, you can share that same show stream over to your own channels if you're in agreement with your show host. Now, like with this program today, I didn't share them out to my channels because this is your show, and so I think you have to.
You didn't know if you were going to like me or not.
No, it's more about.
I'm just kidding.
It's more about our respecting others' distribution, right, of their program, and not trying to capture it, right? Unless you have a prior agreement that it's okay to share your show, this show, on my channel on YouTube.
Why would you not want to allow? Wouldn't it be the more eyeballs, the better? Is it
Well,
about
it would
controlling the brand?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think it really just is a question that you need to ask the host. I didn't ask you, so I didn't automatically push this out to all my channels, because I've got Facebook profile, I've got a LinkedIn profile in here, I have a YouTube channel, and shorts, and then Twitter, and then I have also all of the channels for my new media show, which go out to channels that aren't mine. So, but that's something that I do for just the new media show. But if I want
I'm
to add,
so glad you brought it up. I honestly, when I do the outreach for this show, I have a little section in there about you can hook this up and stream it to your own channels. But I thought, Rob is so experienced. He knows how to do that. You don't need these instructions. And I took them out. But I'm so glad you brought this up, because now I understand that it really needs to be kind of a step of service to make that available to people. And also for me to ask permission when I'm on other people's shows, because I would have not thought of that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and this capability, I don't know is available on any other platform, is to be able to have a guest be able to share out to their particular social accounts. But as you can see on the screen right now, I have an add destination, and that is where you go to select where you want your live stream to be distributed to. So I mean, all you have to do is click on these boxes and log in, and it creates that live stream connection. So like Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn profile, or a LinkedIn page, Facebook page, group, or Facebook profile, or you can send it to like Twitch.
Oh, cool.
Hop in, and then a custom RTMP, which is basically if you have a partner like what I have with my my new media show that has a whole bunch of distribution through his accounts, I can log in to his areas and create distribution for the show based on his credentials that he gives me, right? So you can create a custom destination for your live stream, and there are more live streaming platforms out there, like Rumble is an example of it, that you could use this custom RTMP to create a connection with, let's say, the Rumble platform, which is growing in adoption and things like that. So if there's any platform that you want to get your show live into that isn't currently supported in Streamyard, you can add it right here, and it's pretty straightforward. It does take a little bit of technical expertise, and it does look like that we do have a pathway for repurposing content too. So you can push stuff out to the YouTube Shorts. You can push them out to the Instagram Reels, Facebook page Reels, TikTok, and
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, this is a new capability, so you can take those reformatted vertical videos and be able to push them out here through the Streamyard platform. So that'll be interesting. I haven't played around with this quite yet too much, but I think I will going forward.
I think we both will. will. And I know we've given a little bit of ideas and inspiration to Zach Bordeaux, producer of Business in the Raw, who's here in the comments saying hi. So, hey, Zach.
Well, thank you for being
welcome. Here. And thank you. Rob, quickly, before we kind of run to the end of our roll-up today, can you tell me what banners are for and when you should use them? Maybe just a little bit about what the bells and whistles that are available to me live.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and here. Let's see if I.
It's experimental, Rob. Go for it. Let's
try here. So once you want to start a live stream, so you go to the home page of your account here up here, and that pops up this page here, and it says upcoming streams and recordings. So you click to create, and you go into this area where you select between creating a live show and a recording, and even an on-air webinar. So you can actually do a webinar if you want to in this tool, which is a kind of a different kind of experience. But if you want to create a recording, so let's say I want to create trust factor, and I'm using we'll see how this works, where I'm streaming to you through another instance in Streamyard at the same time.
I know it's going to be wild.
Trying to initiate one.
Meta is better, so let's just see what happens.
Do it and see what happens here.
It might be like a episode of Being John Malkovich. There you are.
There I am there, but let's see. Can I create another instance here? So that's funny.
I know. Down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole we go.
Wow. Okay. Is this working? Let's see.
It is. I believe it is.
Wow.
Hey! That's so cool.
Yeah. So this is awesome. So I can actually show you kind of the functionality. So up in the upper right-hand corner that is the button that you click if you want to start recording a show or live streaming. And then you have this comment area which will funnel comments from, you know, like YouTube and Facebook or whatever, and then you can display them like you've been doing on this show, you know, like down below in the left-hand corner of this live show. It says Stone Fruit Stay, and that is pulled up from a comment. So that's really cool that you can have that interactivity. And then the next area is being able to pull up kind of like a display on the lower part of the screen. So let's say I want to put up my my email address and stuff. So that's you can pull up, so you can see the overlays.
Is that under banners, Rob? Is that where that is?
Yeah, it's under banners.
Okay.
And so you can pre-store a bunch of those type of things. It's just basically text is all you're doing. So
yeah, I see Saturn has had some experience with this already, and I probably should have had these. If I were a better producer and I'm working on my skills, might have had Trust Factor, your YouTube, your LinkedIn, and things like that already ready to go. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's no reason why you can't come in here. I do multiple shows in Streamyard, so I can preset these little pop-ups. Like I can pop up, like the URL to my podcast show. Yeah, there we go. See,
right.
Maybe next time when you come back, we'll have implemented some of these and do you right with your own promotion.
Yeah, and then right below the image here, there's different formats that you can set up with the show. I can't really show those because I don't have another guest in here to be able to show like a 2-screen experience like you have, but you can set these to different capabilities here, right? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Saturn's working the toggling magic. Right, this is getting more meta by the minute. What do the ones with a person with a little screen card mean?
The screen.
It's like we're here with the perspectives, and there's a solo perspective, there's a crop perspective, there's everyone in the room, and then there's then there's an icon that's like a person with a big blank card. What does that mean?
A person with a big blank card.
Yeah, you're right. You are right there.
Right there.
I'm pointing to it with my mouse, which doesn't. Those cards. 1, 2, 3. What are those? What are those all about?
Yeah, I have to show a screen share. So that'll pop my image, kind of like what you were just showing on the screen just a second ago. Was like a smaller version of my video, and it'll overlay over the top of whatever screen share that you have, right? So when there's a bunch of different configurations, and I think Saturn is playing around with that a little bit.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
She could show it too.
Which is great news, because that is literally what Saturn's here for.
Yeah. So
other than comedic relief.
Yeah, let's hop to the next capability, which is brand. So what you can do in here is you can set up these overlays, right? So you have a color brand. So you can see that I have this orangish reddish color that is behind my name, right? So I can set that up in here, and I can select different shapes. Oh, let me pop over here. So this is the classic view. Yeah, I have a background image that actually really makes that the only one that I can really use with this is this one. And then I have a bunch of other graphics here that I can pull in to change the icon, like up here. Just by uploading that graphic, I can change it. And then I also have an overlay, which is what is really mostly what I'm using.
What's an overlay?
Well, that's basically a framing of the experience, right? So you can add a complete layer of graphics on top of.
Do you have one loaded up there we can see?
Well, actually, that's what you're looking at right now is one. Yeah, you can see at the very upper part of this image is a black line.
Yeah,
that goes all the way around, right?
Yeah.
And then this image is built into that template. And it's basically it's the black and white one here. See, I can trade it out and I can show you that. See how it traded them out? So it basically pulled out that black outline. That was a separate graphic that I created in Canva. And then I can go back to adding that again, and it basically just creates a graphical layer on top of your video image is really what it does. So
and that just gives you a more polished, branded look.
Yeah, if you want that, it all gets back to your creativity and what you want to present on the screen and how it looks and those kind of things. It's very much, it's kind of like a TV type of experience, right? A lot of TV shows display, like the lower thirds and things like that. And that's kind of what this gives you the ability to do is embed this stuff on top of the image. So, and then down here, you can add video clips. So like I have a, like a video trailer that I play in the show.
Trust Factor with Rob Greenlee focuses on all aspects to build.
So that can be played and then I can come back and start talking again.
We talked about that a little bit earlier in this episode about when is it appropriate to bring in a video, if at all.
Right. Exactly.
So if you're just joining us.
And then the next one down is background. So this is kind of like what you do with your video. You can kind of see on the left here on the screen, there's kind of like that bluish background color and pattern that you have on there. I just use just a flat black background for my show, but you can certainly go crazy.
Can you upload a custom one?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one here, but I can't show it on the screen because being a solo presenter, you can't really show a background because your whole image is taking up, your whole video is taking up the screen. So unless you do like that overlay that I was talking about earlier, and then you can also add music in here too. So if you want to play a song actually in the show, you just click the button and it will start playing.
Well, that is a wonderful take us out of the episode segue, Rob Greenlee.
Yeah,
for sure.
There you go.
Indeed. Wonderful. Is there anything else you want to show us? Quick like a bunny that we all need to see if we want to be heavy?
Here, there's a private chat that you can have with your guest, and then you can go down here and you can share a screen, and you can upload and share a video, slides, or if you happen to have another camera, you can switch to another camera too. So there's capabilities.
Can they both be running simultaneously, like your 360 camera?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I haven't played around with that yet. So I think I'm going to turn the turn the music off.
You got us on disco mode. You got me into the weekend already.
Right. So anyway, that's kind of a quick run through of Streamyard and what it's capable of doing. I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless. I know that you can also do custom arrangements of your layout too. So that's an option as well.
Oh, interesting. Wow. I actually feel better than I did when we started.
Do you feel better?
I do. I feel like I have more of a lay of the land.
ate a little roll-up fruit. Is that what?
I think it's because I had my roll-up. That's like your
That's
daily
right.
dose of juicy marketing
Right.
and quality conversations.
There you
Rob,
go.
what's one question I should have asked you but didn't?
Just one?
I guess I'll have to come back.
I think you've been pretty thorough. I think you really have to be really dedicated to this path. I know I spent 7 years with my radio show, and I know that getting started with this is a journey, is what it is. And I've had lots of friends that this path has completely transformed their lives, their professional careers, their lives at an amazing level. And it's you get what you put into it at the end of the day. So that's what's really kind of exciting about it. And now's a great time to be a content creator. It may seem like it's a difficult time to be a content creator, but the opportunity is only growing. And I think as mainstream media kind of dies of sorts, there's going to be increasing opportunities in this independent content creator side of things. So I'm excited about what the future looks like of continuing to be a content creator online, and then trying to help companies. And as we move into this AI next stage, it's going to be interesting to see if it change. And I hope
Very
it turns out to be a positive thing. Right.
From your lips to God's ears. Rob, what's one note you have for me as a host based on our conversation today?
I just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. So that's my word of encouragement for you.
Okay. I hear it and I relish it. I will keep going.
Yep. And just
thanks for being.
Keep the faith, keep the energy, keep the creativity that you bring to everything that you do, and just see how far it'll take you.
Well, I know when I've got someone like you to at least look up to, I will go far. Tell the folks at home where they can find you.
Well, I can be found if you do a search for Trust Factor out there. It's Trust Factor with Rob Greenlee. You can catch up on my show where I talk about how to build human trust and what aspects of life can you trust is the other kind of theme of it. But I can be found at robgreenlee.com. I'm also on all the social media platforms. I'm on Twitter at Rob Greenlee, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, all those platforms. So I'm easy to find. If you want to catch the new media show, it's live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. So, and I'm working on all sorts of new projects. So you can also go to my YouTube channel too, and that's at Rob Greenlee as well. So,
well, smash that like and subscribe button, as the kids say.
Yeah, smash it, and ring the bell, and subscribe. Right? Is that the?
I don't know what it is, brother, but we'll work on our own version. Thank you for being so game, for participating in my little corner of the world over here, and bringing your awesome vibe and energy. I'm a huge Rob Greenlee fan, so much so that I have to say your name in total the whole time. There's no just Rob, it's just Rob Greenlee all the time. And I will see you. I will see you next Thursday over at Stream Leader Report Live, where we panel with panache.
Yes, I think we're going to talk about Twitter's conversion to X.
I want to talk about Netflix and their $900,000 a year job for an AI director.
Wow, I hadn't heard about that. That sounds like a great job to apply for.
Indeed. So I hope we've whet your anticipation for more quality content and that Rob Greenlee, Rebecca Gunter vibe, who share the same initials.
Yeah,
Team RG. Yeah.
All right. It's been a pleasure. Right.
Okay. Thanks, Rob Greenlee. Saturn, play us out with some popcorn ice cream. I can hear it, but I can't. There we go.